The announcement that Ray Wise is returning to The Young and the Restless in 2026 instantly sent a chill through the fandom, and for good reason. Ian Ward is not just another recycled villain or a nostalgia-driven comeback. He is one of the most psychologically damaging characters the show has ever introduced, especially for Mariah Copeland. His return isn't about shock value alone. It's about reopening emotional wounds that never truly healed and forcing characters and viewers to confront the long-term consequences of trauma. What makes this comeback especially unsettling is the way it's framed. Ian Ward isn't storming back into Genoa City in the flesh, at least not yet. Instead, he is once again haunting Mariah, appearing as a manifestation of her fractured mental state. That creative choice tells us immediately that this storyline is not about external danger alone, but about internal warfare. Ian doesn't need to be physically present to exert control. His voice, his manipulation, his cruelty have lived inside Mariah's head for years, and the show is making it painfully clear that those scars are far from faded. The teasers for the January 2nd episode suggest that Ian will reappear during another deeply vulnerable moment for Mariah. The last time this happened, she was in a mental health facility, trying to regain stability after everything she'd endured. She had just seen Tessa, her wife and emotional anchor, and that moment of comfort triggered Ian's appearance. That detail matters. Ian always shows up when Mariah feels safest, when her defenses are down. It's a classic abuser tactic, and the show has consistently portrayed it with chilling accuracy. This new visit from Ian is expected to be different, not in tone but in impact. Mariah is no longer the same woman she was during his last hallucinated appearance. She has survived more, lost more, and learned more about herself. But survival does not equal freedom. Trauma doesn't disappear just because time passes or because life improves on the surface. Ian's return is designed to expose that truth. Whatever he says to Mariah this time will almost certainly target her deepest insecurities. Her worth as a wife, her fear of becoming unstable again, and her lingering guilt over the pain her family has endured because of him. To fully grasp why this storyline carries so much weight, you have to revisit Ian Ward's history in Genoa City. When he first arrived in 2014, he wasn't introduced as an obvious monster. He was manipulative, charismatic, and calculated, qualities that made him dangerous long before his true nature was revealed. As the leader of a cult tied to Nikki Newman's troubled past, Ian represented the seductive power of control disguised as salvation. For Nikki, he was a ghost from her youth, a reminder of vulnerability and mistakes. For Mariah, he was something far worse. Ian raised Mariah during her formative years, positioning himself as a father figure while subjecting her to relentless emotional and psychological abuse. He shaped her identity through lies, isolation, and manipulation, convincing her that loyalty to him was survival. That kind of conditioning doesn't just vanish when the abuser leaves. It embeds itself in the victim's self-perception. Even after Ian exited storylines in 2016, his influence lingered in Mariah's self-doubt, her fear of abandonment, and her struggles with trust. The show did not rush Mariah's recovery, and that's what makes this return feel earned rather than exploitative. Her journey towards stability, love, and self-acceptance has been slow and hard one. Her relationship with Tessa Porter is one of the healthiest, most grounded portrayals of queer love on daytime television. But Ian's presence threatens that stability not by attacking it directly, but by whispering that it's fragile, temporary, and undeserved. Ian's return in November 2024 marked a turning point. His alliance with Jordan Howard escalated his villainy from psychological torment to full-blown terror. Together, they targeted the Newmans with ruthless precision, dragging multiple generations into their revenge plot. For Mariah, it was a nightmare resurrected. Ian didn't just torment her. He went after her mother, Sharon Newman, deliberately re-traumatizing Mariah by hurting the person she loves most. That move underscored Ian's true cruelty. He doesn't just want revenge. He wants domination. He wants to prove that no matter how far Mariah runs, he can still reach her. The January 2025 confrontation that ended with Victor Newman shooting Ian was one of the most explosive moments in recent YNR history. For a brief moment, it seemed like closure. Ian was presumed dead. The threat appeared neutralized. But soap operas thrive on unfinished business, and the final shot of Ian's eyes opening in the ambulance was a promise to viewers. This story was not over. Now, with confirmation that Ray Wise will appear again in 2026, the question isn't if Ian will return in a more substantial way, but how. His current appearances as a figment of Mariah's imagination serve a dual purpose. They allow the show to explore her mental health realistically, while also keeping Ian's shadow looming large. Each hallucination reinforces the idea that Ian doesn't need a physical body to inflict damage. He exists in memory, fear, and unresolved trauma. This raises fascinating possibilities for where the story could go. Will Ian eventually return physically, revealing that he survived his shooting and has been hiding in plain sight? Or will his influence remain psychological, forcing Mariah to confront him internally in order to finally reclaim her autonomy? Either direction is rich with dramatic potential. A physical return would reignite the Newman family war, pulling Victor, Nikki, Sharon, and others back into Ian's orbit. A purely psychological arc, on the other hand, would make Mariah's healing the centerpiece, turning Ian into a symbol of trauma rather than an active villain. What makes Ray Wise's portrayal so effective is his ability to blur that line. His Ian Ward is charming and terrifying in equal measure. He doesn't need grand gestures or violent outbursts to unsettle viewers. A quiet taunt, a knowing smile, a few carefully chosen words are enough. When he appears to Mariah, the power imbalance is instantly re-established, even if only in her mind. That's why his return is so impactful. It's not about nostalgia. It's about unresolved pain. There's also a broader thematic layer at play. The Young and the Restless has increasingly leaned into long-term consequences rather than quick fixes. Mental health is not